a sunny afternoon here in Ecuador. And this is Dave for Better Than Before, live on Facebook, talking as usual about things to do with communicating in relationships, relating, being mindful, getting along with people, getting your message out, and connecting assertively. And the other day I did a little live about relationship goals, that your romantic relationship, your intimate relationship should have goals, of which the least important is marriage as a goal. Marriage is not a goal. Marriage is an outcome of goals for your personal development or your relationships development that might lead in that direction if that's what you desire. But today I want to talk about other kinds of relationships, non-intimate relationships, which also very much need goals to be effective. How often have you been making plans with let's say somebody that you work with, a work project, or you've been trying to create a project where the 2 or 3 or 4 of you will form your own enterprise of some kind and break free of the rat race, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you seem to keep getting together and you're friends and you get along and you hang out and you say, well, we'll get together on Sunday. You get together on Sunday and you spend the afternoon hanging out and talking about the future and what you'd like to see. And it becomes sort of a comparison of fantasies, and nothing ever really gets done. And the fantasy remains a fantasy, and you remain just as stuck as you were. And this can also happen at work. So you call a meeting because you're feeling lonely and you want some company at work. So you call a meeting and you get together with the group and everybody hangs out and talks and says what they'd like to see happen and the future of the group and how you're going to make your contribution and everybody's going to get a raise and so on and so forth. And nothing ever happens. And nothing ever does. And week after week, month after month, you sit there kind of spinning your wheels. So much of this has to do with a failure to identify exactly what is your goal and the milestone goals that it's going to take to get there. I'm not going to tell you anything surprising or new by saying that the goals for your relationship should be written down. You're going to need to actually write this down. Why? It's unclear, but it seems to have this powerful psychological effect that once it's written down, it becomes real in a way that when you're just thinking about it, it isn't. It's also very helpful if you've written something like this down to pin it to the wall over your desk or put it somewhere where it's easily visible and it keeps confronting you like, oh yeah, this is your goal. This is where you agreed to direct your energy. What progress are you making? What steps are you taking towards your goal? Hi, Joe. So now that you've gotten your goal written down, you're really going to have to start communicating at a clear and effective and assertive and mindful level to maintain a strong relationship with the person or persons you're working towards this goal with. Everybody's got to be on the same page about, yes, this is what our goal is. We all want to form a little business that will employ however many of us there are in our various roles, which take advantage of our various skills and allow us to serve the community in some way that we all find positive, satisfying, and agreeable. This is going to be good for us, and it's going to be good for other people too. If it isn't good for other people too, it's probably not going to be much of a business. Nobody's going to buy into it. Nobody's going to want to buy your product. Nobody's going to get involved. So you've had this communication and your roles are defined. And what's going to be your steps? What steps will you take? Who's responsible for what? This stuff has to be written out. Otherwise, you find a week later that nobody's done anything, or that someone did what someone else was supposed to do and didn't do their own thing. Hi, Rachel. And it's important to get this stuff written down and laid out and identified clearly with action steps that everybody can take in the next few days. And these action steps have to be organized in a way that they actually lead towards an identifiable milestone that takes you towards your goal. Otherwise, everybody's just very busy. Everybody runs around doing a bunch of short-term things. Everybody does their short-term goal. And it just seems like you're spinning your wheels. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. Every investment of time needs to be clearly identified as a step down the road to your ultimate goal. You've got to have direction. Otherwise, you just devolve into, hi, Kat. You just devolve into hanging out, talking about the future, talking about how great it's going to be when the long-term goal is achieved, how great it's going to be when you're self-employed or you have your little business, or if you're working within a company framework, how great it's going to be when you've finished this project and it's all great and stuff. Even if your project has a deadline, that can be a powerful motivator if you're working in a company context. But how's it going to come out? What's the result that's going to bring you there? Joe asks, what's the best tool to organize that? This is a good question. It's good. There's a number of different kinds of action templates that you can access on the internet. I don't have a best one in mind, but all of them have in common that they lay out the final goal with some kind of goal date for achievement. Midterm milestone goals, often monthly. And within the milestone goals, daily or weekly goals for each person involved, with an assignment for each person involved in the project that lets them know what they're going to do this week. And when that goal is achieved, after evaluation of, has this helped? Has this taken us down the right road? There are either follow-up steps that continue on successful steps, short-term steps, or there are adjustments, adaptations, changes, flexibility. This didn't come out quite the way we hoped. This didn't give us quite the result we hoped. Let's adjust this, try it for another week, or adjust it, try something a little different, and see if that produces the result we need. Mostly, it's just getting it written down in some kind of organized format. There are bulletin board tools for this. There's a website that I think is called Trello that helps to organize projects like this, Joe. But it's not so much the tool you use, I think, in my opinion. Hi, Zach. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. It's not so much the tool you use as the getting it written out in steps. I'm an old guy. I like paper. If you can get your timeline and your step line organized and put it up on the wall, that can be one of the most helpful things you can do. You can see it. It's like, well, these are the steps we think we need to take. These are the people who are going to take them. And everyone can see it. So it's important, I think, I'm going to wrap this up by saying it's important to have these goals and have them clear to keep from spinning your wheels in any relationship, any goal. When you're just by yourself, in a way, it's easier because you write these things down in whatever format you like, and you hold yourself responsible, or you hire somebody to hold you responsible. When it's two people, it's very important to lay out what each person's responsibility is so that this can get done. Otherwise, misunderstandings, delays, confusion, the more people involved, the more necessary it is that the goals be very, very explicit for each person. And if you do that, I think you'll see results. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. We can talk about the communication skills that go with making these relationship goals move ahead easily, maybe tomorrow or another day, because I often talk about communication. If you've liked this, if you found it useful, if you think it might be helpful to anyone you know, please share it. Please like it and share it. Don't share it if you don't like it. And I will see you again tomorrow, perhaps around this time. You never know. It's a good time of day for me. The lighting's good. I'll see you tomorrow. Please tune in. Thanks so much for stopping by. And I'll see you again. Bye now.